Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this in the world. And welcome to the BC WrestlePod and Networking Conglomeration Syndicate thing we do pretty much every day of the week, except for Thursdays, except for the next couple of weeks. But welcome to La Nextrema, your NXT PLE review show here. My name is Mikey. I am one of your hosts here for the NXT crew. And as you can see, I will be rocking this review solito by myself, solo this evening, but that is okay. My other constituents, Macho Rodriguez and Will, are out and about in the world doing their thing, and they will be back next week. And I am happy to have the whole crew together again. But until then, you got me for this one. So we are going to be doing a double dose of reviews this evening. First, I do want to state that, yes, even though this is not an NXT review, I'm still planning on doing this. And on Monday, you got to hear my review for Money in the Bank with the Professor. And so today, I will be covering not only WWE and AAA Worlds Collide, but I will also be quickly going over last night's episode of NXT, which is really great. Hi, Nick, friend to the channel. Yes, I am getting it. And you are oh so close. Hefe is it instead of the H, it is a J, but that is okay. So I will be covering Worlds Collide and the June 10th edition of NXT. But before I get into all of that, a little bit of housekeeping. If this is your first time here at BC WrestlePod, well, hello, and thank you for being here. Whether it was through a friend, you discovered it on your own, or through the algorithm, regardless, I am happy that you are here. And we do a lot. We review all the wrestling from both the major feds, the international brands, and some of the independent ones as well. But if a full-length review or an edited version is too much time for you to consume, because I totally understand that time is a construct and not everyone can sit through an hour-long video, then you could follow us on the social media and still be informed with our clips from our shows that kind of summarize all the major talking points we do in a review, as well as read the report cards for all of the shows and the pay-per-views that we do. On top of that, we also got some merchandise, which you can find at BC WrestlePod /fourthwall.com. I love it now. Agent Lo-Fi, saludos, hermano. Of course, he would be here because I'm covering the AAA of Oz here with Worlds Collide. And Agent Lo-Fi, strap in. I'm gonna be upfront. I am still newer to AAA, but I am excited to talk about this. And yes, we're going to talk about the man and his iguana that has taken over the internet wrestling community over the last 72 hours. I am so excited. Yes, Agent Lo-Fi, we're going to talk about Mr. Iguana because he is all hyped. It's all gas, no brakes, no Jacob Fatsu for this one, but I cannot wait to talk about it. But again, we have merchandise at fourthwall.com /BC WrestlePod, where we have merch for all of our review teams, as well as our Hot Boys Summer Collection, just in time for the beach days or the pool sides. But on top of that as well, we have dropped our latest collection, which is called We Grapple with Pride, just in time for Pride Month 2025. And we have decided as an organization that proceeds from this collection will be donated to the charity organization Point of Pride, which is a charity organization that offers financial assistance and in general health help in terms of when it comes to trans health and gender affirming care. So again, we believe in being a charitable organization, especially in this trying times. We need to take care of the folks out there. But now that I've gotten all that out of the way, let's just jump into it. So again, this is a double dose of reviews. So we're going to start with WWE and AAA's Worlds Collide, which took place hours before Money in the Bank within the same area at the Kia Forum. So let's just jump straight into it. I have to say, for me, as a kid growing up here in Southern California, who is both Mexicano y Boricua, I am super happy to be representing my Mexican and my Puerto Rican heritage and my culture when it comes to these things. And WWE knew what they were doing. This was very AAA, and everybody involved in this was, the Mexicano crowd in Los Angeles. They knew what they were doing. But we do get a really fun opening, though, because Of course, like with any WWE event, we get the national anthem. It was really cool because they gave us the national anthem of Mexico, and then they gave us the United States anthem. So it was really cool. We start the show off proper with Rey Mysterio coming out and cutting a very emotional promo in Spanish, and essentially translated, Rey Mysterio is really happy that Lucha Libre is finally getting to be on this grand stage and that it can truly be shown in the proper way that it needs to. And this event is going to be great. Yeah, that was something that I noticed when we were there, Agent Lo-Fi. She missed some of the words, but you know what? I'm proud for her because we hardly ever get these national anthems outside of world events like this. So I'm going to take what I get. But after Rey Mysterio cuts this emotional promo to start with the opening, we jump straight into the matches that were to be had, and we kick things off with this 6-man tag team match. So do not adjust your computer screens because, yes, this is not the correct group of people on the left-hand side. So it was originally scheduled to be the LWO versus the team of Aerostar, Lince Dorado, well, actually, Aerostar, Octagon Jr., and the internet's new sensation, Mr. Iguana. But previously on Friday Night SmackDown during a dark match, we had our one member of our LWO in Joaquin Wilde knock himself out cold in a dark match, and so he was replaced with Lince Dorado here in this match. I'm gonna be completely honest. Outside of the main event, this was my favorite match, and I'm kind of sad that this is what opened everything up for us. But this was a fun way to get the crowd invested into what a WWE versus AAA kind of showdown would go. Of course, Aerostar and Octagon Jr. I'm very familiar with, and thanks to our friend Agent Lo-Fi, I love it. This was a lot of fun. Mr. Iguana is taking everything right. Is great. Agent Lo-Fi coming in. This was a proper lucha match, but still a notch slower than what you see in AAA guys do normally, which I kind of figure was going to be the repeating story for a lot of these matches because the WWE style of wrestling isn't the same as the, not even AAA, just the traditional Mexican lucha libre style of Mexico down there. But this was still a fun match. And again, like I said, Mr. Iguana was the highlight for me. Lince Dorado is also my favorite thing too, because after, shenanigans with the Iguana, who also has a name, by the way, I believe, if I remember correctly, it is Yaska, I think. Lince Dorado performed a whole Spanish fly on that thing, and it was great. I love this. This was a fun bout. And I agree, having a normal ref in his felt really weird the whole night or the afternoon, and they really. Nick coming in. Nikki wants me to get out her feelings, love the main event, and Mr. Iguana for life. Yes, Mr. Iguana over the last 72 hours has become an internet staple, and he is so great. It was fantastic. Yeah, it was very much a WWE show with AAA talent, not much of what current AAA was shown, unfortunately, which is fair. And I wonder if part of that, and again, we try to keep, the real world outside of wrestling, but it's also figuring they're probably trying to figure out who they don't want to get hurt, especially with Triple Mania coming up very, very soon, which talent can afford and cannot afford to get hurt. But on top of that, too, given the current circumstances of the way that the world is, who knows what truly happened. But as I stated, Mr. Iguana, Octagon Jr., and Aerostar do pick up the victory here over LWO in Lince Dorado. This was fun. I had such a great time. I need an Iguana plushie now. Please, give it to me. Give it to me now. Yeah, we have a lot that we cover here at BC WrestlePod, and I've always had AAA in the back of my mind. I just got to figure out, do we add it to the ever-growing roster of things that we review? But I digress. So after this, we get into our only women's match of the card, which I'm not surprised because WWE standards, women don't get a lot of matches here. But we get a tag team match here, which sees team WWE/NXT, which is the team of Lola Vice and La Primavera herself, Stephanie Vaquer, taking on the team of Chica Tormenta and Dalis. For me personally, I enjoy a good women's match. I thought this was pretty solid. I will admit it did take a little bit for me to get into the match, but I think because it's Stephanie and the fact that she does have history with the Ruda team, if we're going to be using Lucha Libre terms, I thought this was a pretty solid match. Of course, the internet had its moment. The crowd had its moment when we get the double, what I dubbed the Booker T spot, which I was like, all right, internet, y'all got your things. But I love Stephanie and Lola, but for me, I really, really enjoyed Dalis and Chica Tormenta, and I thought this was great. This was a solid match. Stephanie and Lola end up picking up the victory, and shout out to Stephanie for pulling triple duty: SmackDown, Worlds Collide, and Money in the Bank. Girl was booked and blessed for 72 hours, so we love to see it. There's no legal way in the U.S., unfortunately, but there's ways, obviously. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Know what I'm saying? Yes, we talk about the One Piece. That is the way without getting demonetized to say it. Agent Lo-Fi with his thoughts on this match. It was fine, about as good as you're going to get a Dalis Tormenta. It was good stuff, though. Yes, I agree. I think between the two Rudas, I really, really love Tormenta. Chica Tormenta was fantastic. Again, this was solid. And you know what? I love Lola. I think she deserves more in NXT. But, that's neither here nor there because she is going to be involved leading into Evolution for WWE. Depending if she may end up facing JCJ for the NXT Women's Championship. But who knows? Again, this was a solid match. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was like a 5-star classic, but it was pretty good for these women. And I'm really hoping that whatever this relationship or whatever is going to happen with AAA underneath WWE leadership, while I'm a little worried for everybody involved in AAA, I really hope we get to showcase more women because, yes, that is always the thing that I want to see. But from here, we get into our third match, which I'm going to be honest, on paper, I was really excited for this. I will have to say, I don't know if it's because it was the placement of the card or how everybody was working, but I felt like I wasn't expecting everybody to go flying all over the place, but this was a lot slower than even what I was expecting it to be slowed down to for WWE and AAA. But we do get another 6-man tag team match representing WWE. It is Legado del Fantasma, which is, Berto Angel Garza and, of course, Santos Escobar taking on the AAA team of Psycho Clown, Pagano, and El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. That's a mouthful to say. I have to say, I really enjoyed Legado here because, again, for those who don't watch WWE, anybody who does knows that these gentlemen don't really get a lot of time to kind of get to shine. I thought that Berto and Angel were called too soon from NXT to go back over to the main roster because I feel like they could have done some really fun stuff in NXT and have a tag team championship run, but I'm not the one who books the show. But this was really good. So I actually am familiar with Psycho Clown and Pagano and El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. Again, because Mexican and Mexican grandmas, they tell you all the luchador stories. So that was my thing. Again, I thought this was a fun match. I feel that it took a little bit to get into, and I was a little disappointed, surprisingly, from our AAA stars. But then again, with Triplemania coming up, we probably couldn't afford people to get hurt and things like that. But I will agree with Agent Lo-Fi here. I think out of the 3 on the AAA team, I really enjoyed Pagano, and he is, I think I got to see Pagano do Pagano things in WWE setting. Love that train wreck of a luchador. I 100% agree. And what was with Psycho Clown's entrance music? I was like, this is kind of whack. I was like, I know this event was streaming and we can't get copyrighted, but like, you couldn't have picked something better. Okay. But again, I was very surprised that Legado did pick up the win here, and they're going to Triple Mania to challenge for the tag team championship. So that should be interesting. But again, I think this was my lowest point, but even then, this was still a pretty fun match. I was just the pacing was off a little bit, but I will say by the midpoint towards the end, things picked up. So we move on into what ended up being our semi-main event, which was also this banger. This is for the, surprisingly enough, this was for the NXT North American Championship. All Ego Ethan Page defending his title against WWE main roster star Rey Fenix, Mr. Animo himself here, Mr. Bouncy representing NXT, and Javon Evans. And then representing AAA and, of course, TNA for me as well is Laredo Kid. This match ruled. I hold the North American Championship for NXT in high regards because it ends up having some of my favorite matches to watch on TV or live. I still hold that Fatal 5-Way at Stand and Deliver when NXT Stand and Deliver was in Los Angeles during WrestleMania weekend when it was at SoFi Stadium. And that Fatal 5-Way is still probably one of my favorite matches of all time in the last 5 years, being on the same tier as Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania when it was in Florida. But I will agree with H and Lo-Fi. We know that Rey and Laredo Kid can go faster than this, but it was a little bit slower down. But this was still a very fun match. I ultimately think that this is to continue what we would be talking about later in NXT, that Javon has his sights on Ethan Page and a certain other somebody also has his sights when we get to that in a little bit. But this was great. Rey Fenix doing his thing, Laredo and Javon bouncing all over the place, Ethan Page kind of going all over the place as well. This is a fun one. Ultimately, by being an opportunist himself, All Ego Ethan Page pins Laredo Kid to retain his NXT North American Championship. This was fun, for sure. So now the only thing that is left to talk about in terms of Worlds Collide is the main event, which is for the AAA Mega Championship. This was our newest champion because he's only held that thing for a week, Mr. El Señor El Hijo del Vikingo. So Vikingo is not new to me. This is a name that I'm very familiar with because he be popping up in all of the independents, from Progress to TNA to all these other stuff as well. And of course, he is our new AAA Mega Champion after beating a name that I will not mention because I don't like that man. And he was defending his championship against Mr. Chad Gable. I don't care what anybody says. I know people have issues with Mr. Gable here, but I think this was probably my favorite match of the whole entire night. But then again, I know that Chad Gable's amateur wrestling background, and he works very well with luchadors. I still think that this was a lot slower paced than we've seen, slower paced than we're used to seeing, because I know Vikingo can go hog wild. And yes, 100% H and Lo-Fi. Chad is the only proper rudo of the whole entire night, and which is crazy to say. But for those of you who don't know, in Lucha Libre, when we describe the faces and the heels like we do in the American terms, your técnicos are your good guys for the most part, and then the rudos are your bad guys / heels. But regardless, Chad Gable being the only true rudo of the whole entire night was kind of crazy. I agree with you, Agent Lo-Fi. I think this was very much a WWE match, but even still, I was very entertained. I like this match. Again, I don't know if it's because Vikingo keeps getting hurt over the last year or so it was nice to see him kind of slow. He's been slowing it down for a little bit, but I 100% agree. It was really nice here to see him break out some Yafe, which I haven't seen as of late for me. This was a fun match. This was my favorite match of Worlds Collide. Of course, to no surprise, El Hijo del Vikingo retains his AAA Mega Championship. We end the whole event with the AAA stars that were there coming on out, putting Vikingo on their shoulders, celebrating. And that's what ended Worlds Collide. Again, this was a very WWE show, showcasing AAA stars, but I still had a really, really fun time. I think that for the most part, and again, this is saying with a grain of salt, if you will, because we know WWE has done some messed up stuff and doesn't know how to really book a lot of their international talent very well. But I will say this. I think this was a very, very fun event. It exposed AAA to people who may or may not be who know to it. And I'm interested to see what is going to go down and what is going to happen with AAA and everybody else now that WWE has, purchased AAA. So that is going to be my report on Worlds Collide. So Agent Lo-Fi, I hope you don't leave because you could stick around. But if not, if you got to go, that's fine because I know you're only here for the lucha things, which is okay with me. Don't worry, we're going to see you later tonight anyways. But now I'm going to quickly get into what else I got to review for here, which is the June 10th episode of NXT, which was literally last night. So I gave Worlds Collide a B+. NXT gets a B for me, and here is why. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what happened on this week's episode of NXT. So we kicked NXT off with, to nobody's surprise, All Ego Ethan Page pulling some hard double duty here, defending his NXT North American Championship against WWE Evolve talent Sean Legacy. Sean Legacy on the independents has been killing it, and now that WWE Evolve is the thing, which is an interesting concept. He won a triple threat to be able to have this match, and so he gets a shot at All Ego Ethan Page's NXT North American Championship. Really quickly, I do want to spotlight this comment from Agent Lo-Fi. I like the show, but I'll say that if this is what they want AAA to become, then I'll be a bit worried. I 100% agree. The chaos is what separates them from CMLL. So it is going to be interesting. I really hope they do just let them go buck freaking wild, so to speak, but who knows? Again, time will tell. Who knows how long it's going to be, but we shall see what happens. But back to NXT again. All Ego Ethan Page defending his NXT North American Championship against Sean Legacy. This is a pretty fun match. This is very standard. I think this continues to showcase Sean Legacy, and the fact that the NXT crowd is behind him this early is fantastic. But of course, All Ego Ethan Page hits the Ego's edge to win and to retain his NXT North American Championship. Ethan doesn't get too long to celebrate because then we get Ricky Saints coming in and brawling with Ethan Page for all of that. So I thought we were done with this feud, but apparently we're still going with it. So it is what it is. You have heard our talks in previous weeks that we kind of want this to wrap up. So we'll see what happens. I thought Ricky was on his way to main roster, but you know what? Who knows? No blood allowed. AAA would be so freaking... Bro, seriously. Like, come on now. We'll see what happens. But again, Ricky Saints brawls with Ethan Page, and that is how the match here and this segment ends. Again, it seems that we're going to continue Ethan Page and Ricky Saints feuding for a little bit, so only time will tell whether... I think we're probably going to wrap it up at Great American Bash in July. But again, who knows? Why do we have this faction and we're already kicking members out? Because Izzy Dame here in this segment explains to the rest of her group why she hit Brooks Jensen with the chair, effectively kicking him out of the group. I don't care about this faction. I really don't. The name is very problematic because it's very Yahtzee coded, which is not really great. And yeah, I don't really care about this faction, not gonna lie. Which is sad because I really liked the because we get a tag team match next with the name redacted here, and versus Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura of Pro Wrestling Noah. I'm happy that Inamura is still here in NXT. I'm glad he didn't go back to Japan yet. But ultimately, it would be name redacted here, picking up the win for the team. Josh and Yoshiki cannot catch a break, man. They cannot. And the Colleen, what are we doing? Like, I don't care enough about name redacted. Like, I really don't. And it's really sad, but I don't really care. They just keep fighting people. There's no substance or storyline. Like, it is what it is. People are mad, and I'm going to explain why and why they need to calm down. So we get this vignette that officially tells us that formerly AEW star Mariah May is in NXT again. We get this Sabrina Carpenter-esque like promo, and we find out that she is not going to go by Mariah May in NXT, which we already figured as much because, you know, that's WWE likes to monetize and keep their creations to themselves because it makes them more money. But we find out that Mariah May, for as long as she's in WWE and NXT, she is now going to go by the name of Blake Monroe. I know a lot of people on the internet have made their feelings known of hating the name change. I think it's different. I feel like it's going. So for me, it's kind of the same way when we got Seth Rollins, even though he went by, Tyler Black on the independent scene and OVW and all that good stuff. So it's going to take some time, but I'm going to be used to it. And I'm here to support Miss Mariah May / Blake Monroe in all of this. She will be signing her official NXT contract next week on NXT. So look, this is where she has wanted to be all her life. And I know a lot of AEW fans are mad at her, being like, you're a traitor. How dare you come to the other company? I'm like, why not? She has always wanted to be in WWE, but she got to experience a lot when she was in Stardom. She got to have probably one of the best women's feuds of all time in AEW with Timeless Toni Storm. And now she's officially here to live her WWE dream. So just let her live, you guys. You don't need to calm down. I'm here to support her in whatever she wants to do. So Blake Monroe / Mariah May, you have my support and BC WrestlePod's support. And I'm interested to see where we go with her next. So please be nice to her. This is her dream. And I'm here to support her because this happy wrestlers, it makes Mikey very, very happy. So we get a very quick match. Lash Legend just destroys Ren Sinclair. And I love Lash so much. I think she is going to be a future star. I'm really hoping we start to get to push her now that she's by herself. Metaphor is no more. She's not a tag team because her partner, Jakar Jackson, is no longer in the company. I really hope that NXT now pushes this girl to the moon because I think it's time for her to start going after some gold. And we'll see if that's going to be the case later when I talk about the preview for next week's episode. JC Jane defends her newly minted NXT Women's Championship on the line against, again, another WWE Evolve star. JC puts her title on the line against WWE Evolve talent Lainey Reed. Lainey was so good in this match. I've only seen a little bit of Lainey in Evolve, and so now she got a chance to showcase what she got on NXT. Commentary put her over heavily. She helped train Charlotte Flair to get back in the ring after coming back from injury. Lainey is so good. And honestly, what I liked is that they're taking what the internet has been saying about JC being our new NXT Women's Champion and making it feel like she can lose this title at any time, which is really crazy to see. But ultimately, thanks to the interference from Fatal Influence, specifically Fallon Henley, JC is able to retain her NXT Women's Championship against Lainey Reed. But as Fallon, JC, and Jasmine and all of Fatal Influence begin to celebrate in the ring, on the high rise, we see our NXT General Manager, Ava, come over and say, you know what? Since Fatal Influence got to choose the first opponent for the NXT Women's Championship defense, Ava is going to pick the next one. So what's going to end up happening is that next week we're going to get a series of 4 eliminator style matches and that means that 8 women divided into 4 matches. So it's going to be a series of one-on-one matches. Then from that field of 8, the winners of those 4 eliminator matches will go into a fatal 4-way. And the winner of that will face JC Jane for the NXT Women's Championship at the Evolution pay-per-view coming up in July. Very excited, but I'm very also perplexed as to, does that mean that JC's not defending her title at the Great American Bash, which is NXT's next pay-per-view, which is a night before Evolution? So that's gonna be interesting. So we're gonna break down all these matches a little bit later when we preview next week's episode, because right now we get a quick tag team match, which sees the D'Angelo family, or what's left of it anyways, of Tony D and Luca Crucifino taking on the newly minted tag team of the High Rise, which is the faction of Wesley, Tyreek Ikwe, and Tyson DuPont, which I love both of them, by the way. it seems that we're dragging out this whole entire storyline with the family. I don't know if Stax is hurt or whatever from, Battleground and everything, but it's really weird that he's not been on television. I thought this was going to mean Tony is going up to main roster, but apparently we're going to drag this out for whoever knows how long. But because Tony doesn't trust Mr. Crucifino, it does get the better of him. Tony takes the pin, High Rise to take the victory here. I'm really hoping we're wrapping the storyline up because I don't want it to drag. This is going to drag, and I'm not here for it. So next week we get a bunch of matches confirmed, and apparently, unless I am wrong, and somebody in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, we're getting all 4 elimination qualifier matches next week. But next week, that is slated on the card, we have a 6-man tag team match, which is going to see our heels, which is Trick Williams teaming up with TNA's First Class, which is AJ Francis and Casey Navarro. And they will be taking on the team of Yoshiki Inamura and Josh Briggs. And they will be tagging with TNA star Elijah. This is going to be an interesting one. So it seems that Mike is going to be out of the picture. He's feuding with First Class on TNA, so I feel like that's the first feud. I still think that Mike Santana is going to be the one to take the title off of Trick, but we shall see what happens with all of that. And then again, unless I am wrong, we're getting all 4 eliminator matches next week to see who goes into that fatal 4-way to become women's NXT champion #1 contender. So the matches are set and they are as follow. We are getting Lash Legend versus Kalani Jordan, Zarya versus Izzy Dame, Thea Hale versus Miss Jada Parker, and Lola Vice taking on the Juggernaut Jordan Grace. If I had to pick already, I think it should be Lash, Zarya, Jada, and Jordan. And then I think Jordan's going to win and head to Great American Bash. So that's going to be interesting. Finally, we get into our main event of NXT. This is the NXT Championship match, which sees the ruler of NXT, Obafemi, defend his NXT Championship against LFG Season 1 winner for the men's side in Jasper Troy. This was 2 big men doing what 2 big men do, throwing each other, slamming each other to the mat. Tables were broken, barricades were thrown into. This is a really solid match. The whole thing throughout the night is because Jasper threw Obafemi through a windshield at the beginning of the episode. The whole show, commentary and storyline wise, is like, I don't think Oba's going to make it. I think this match is now called off. But of course, it's Obafemi. He got the taped up ribs. And this was a pretty solid big man match, not going to lie. I think the showcase Jasper, and WWE right now seriously needs more big monsters because we don't have a lot of those now after this recent round of releases and such. But Obafemi retains his NXT championship and he celebrates to end the broadcast for the evening. So that's going to be it for my review this week. Again, it was a pretty short review as it's just me covering Worlds Collide and NXT. Overall, I thought this was a really fun week for WWE programming and for NXT. I thought this was a solid build-up. We are building towards Evolution and the Great American Bash in a couple of weeks. So this was pretty solid. We've been kind of trying to figure out how we're going to navigate certain things now that certain stars got moved over to main roster, but I digress. But that's going to be it for me here at La Nextrema. But before I sign off, let me give you a preview of what is to come for the remainder of this week. Agent Lo-Fi, who is in the chat and who might still be in the chat, but if not, he is our unofficial 4th co-host, and you can see him, myself, El Buntador del Segundo, en Papo Oso, at the Los Lobos de la Lucha review for CMLL. We will be back later tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, and we will be talking about all the goodness of CMLL and Viernes Espectacular. I'm excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. Then on Thursday, you can catch the GCW Ultra Violent Union, which is myself, Adolfo, and Andrew, as we recap the GCW Survival Weekend, where we do a double review. We're going to take care of Tournament of Survival 10 and Age of Survival 4. I cannot wait. It is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. Thanks, Agent Lo-Fi. We'll see you at CMLL, my dude. So, yeah, that is going to be tomorrow evening on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Then on Friday, the Six-Sided Scholars will be making their return. That is our TNA pay-per-view squad, as myself, Will, JT, and a mystery fourth co-host will be reviewing not only the Against All Odds pay-per-view, but we will briefly be touching upon the Thursday, June 12th edition of TNA as well, as we are gearing up towards Slammiversary in July. So this is going to be a lot of fun. On Saturday, I will be having a short edited video premiere in which I do a quick review for House of Glory's Wrestling. Mike Santana presents Puerto Rican Weekend, which saw our main event be Tomohiro Ishii versus Mike Santana for the Hog World Championship. Again, I want to start branching out and covering important shows like this, especially because I am Boricua, Puerto Rican. I think it's important to cover this show. And it was a really fun one, and I can't wait for you to watch my bite-sized review. And then we wrap up the week on Sunday with our Dual Dynasty review, where we will be reviewing the post-Money in the Bank Raw and SmackDown, as we are now officially building towards Night of Champion in Saudi Arabia. Just as a disclaimer, I will continue to say this until the cows come home. We here at BC WrestlePod will be making predictions for Night of Champions, but we will not be reviewing the pay-per-view, as because it is in Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia has a history of not treating women and marginalized communities and as nicely as they should and not treating them well. I refuse to give my opinions and my viewership to Saudi Arabia. So we will not be doing a review for Night of Champions, but we will be doing our predictions, and I will report a predictions post and a report card post, but that is about it. But yeah, we got a lot going on this week, and I can't wait to be here with all of you at home watching us. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you for tuning in to La Extrema. We will be back with the regular NXT Losos review next week on Wednesday, same time, same place. But for myself and the rest of the BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. I'll see you for the CMLL review in a couple of hours. But until then, sayonara, adios, love yourself, take the time to love others and love you. Remember, you are important. We care about you. And from here, all of us here at BC WrestlePod, we'll talk to you soon. But until then, take care for now.